Welcome to Webcology.
Greetings, Webcology listeners. The ecosystem of the web marketing world is always changing. Technology, and more importantly, radio is evolving. Introducing the next evolution of radio technology for web marketers, the webmasterradio.fm mobile app for iPhone and Android. Listen live, download new shows daily, and stay connected through our social media network. Download the webmasterradio.fm mobile app in the iTunes Store or in Google Play now.
Webcology is the show that takes you into the deepest and darkest ends of the ecosystem on the internet. Our guides will take you on a journey into web marketing and bring you the experts and the information so that you can further explore the web marketing world. Now, here are the hosts of Webcology, Jim Hedger and Dave Davies.
Hey everyone, welcome to Webcology here on webmasterradio.fm. It is the 17th of October, 2013. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Voice Media and Dave Davies from Stock SEO. And it's one of them shows today where, I don't know about you, Dave, but it's been a busy week on the work front and also, just on the personal obsession front. We don't have any guests today. That's what I'm trying to say. We don't got a guest. We're just going to be winging it. But there's a heck of a lot that happened in the world in the last week. I don't know about you, man, but I feel mellow and light and almost cheery today. Almost cheery. Today could have been so very different.
Yes, it could have been.
The world economy still stands. And I'm not going to go too into this. As listeners might know, I've been trying to avoid talking about politics on the show. But I got a website that I'd like to refer the GOP caucus to. And, pretty much anybody who's a GOP supporter. It's called Snopes.com. 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 And I urge you to refer to it every time you want to post something on Facebook. It doesn't matter what it is. Look at Snopes first. If it's green means go when crossing the road, and that's what you, a GOP supporter, sincerely believes, check out Snopes first. It'll help everybody. Okay. That's just about, that's just about all I got to say on that one. I guess I have a hell of a lot more to say on that one, but I'm not gonna.
For anybody who would like to know more about what Jim thinks, just follow his Facebook page. You're not quite as reserved there, Jim.
No, and I don't see why. I mean, one of the things I love about the idea of the social media, and I'm quite mad about Facebook for this, Dave. I gotta tell you, in times of political strife, in times of great political debate, I see an environment like Facebook as a place that everybody get together and, you don't got to agree, but you can smash out arguments. Sometimes quite stupidly, sometimes quite intelligently. Believe it or not, I was involved in a Tea Party discussion forum, and we got to a point where everyone was actually being civil with each other. Believe it or not, here's me, Mr. Ultra-Liberal guy, and I'm saying I was in a Tea Party discussion via Facebook that was civil. And, I didn't have to agree with those guys, and they didn't have to agree with me. But we got past the name-calling, got past the, abuse of the language, so using words like socialism and stuff, and, just talked economic theory. And you know what? I understand where they're coming from a little bit better. I adamantly disagree with their assumptions about the way things work, but I better understand where they're coming from. And I wish Facebook could act that way. But Facebook, especially recent changes at Facebook, means that what I see on my news feed is very, very limited, basically to a bunch of people who tend to agree with stuff I agree with.
Right.
And, I don't think that's healthy for political debate, even though I don't think political debate these days is very healthy for people or for intellect. But, you know what I mean? I just wish Facebook would open itself up. And Facebook made a recent change where it is now either blocking or redirecting a number of people who would. Have you noticed that your feed is a little less active than it was, say, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going with this. Yeah.
Okay, so what did they do? What change happened, and what do users got to do to get their active feeds back again?
There's been a few changes, but one of the biggest ones that hit me specifically, and I know it's hit a few people. Christine was complaining about it, your friend of mine. I actually will talk about an article that she just published yesterday in Search Engine Watch a little later in the show. But one of the things that I found as a nuisance, she did, I'm sure you did too, and maybe some of our listeners that didn't know this is what caused it, is that Facebook's decided in their infinite wisdom, personally I think glitch, that in a lot of cases they have, you know how you could sort of go, always follow this person. Right? Yeah. Like, I always want to see what this person said. They sort of unchecked that. So none of them are. You have to go back in and recheck the people that you want to always get the news feeds from. So that was one of the things that most hit me. And it was funny because Christine was complaining about it. And it was funny because that was one of the triggers. Because you're friends with her on Facebook. You know how much she posts, right?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
A lot. So if you don't see a whack of stuff in your Facebook feed, something's gone wrong. Because if nothing else, you should keep it active. And so, she's one of the people that I watch because she's often publishing some useful information. And oftentimes, it doesn't seem to be universal, but a lot of the time, that's it, that a lot of these accounts just had the people that they were following sort of unfollowed, and you have to go back in there and do it. And I think that was one of the biggest things that impacted me. And it's a real shame because this is me saying this is the people that I most want the information from, who are helping me stay updated, and away it went. So anyway,
there you go, friends. That's why your Facebook stream is a little bit slower, tamer, less interesting than it was before. You can change this thing. You can take care of it. Go on in and do it and get your old Facebook back.
Yeah.
I got two really cool stories, okay? Two
All
really
right.
cool things. Number one, congratulations to Lisa Holton, nee Lisa Barone. Lisa Barone, now Lisa Holton, got married last week to her longtime sweetie, Tim Holton. So, Lisa, congratulations. And Lisa and Tim. Wow, eh? Isn't that sweet?
That's huge. That's great. It's always nice to hear good news in light of, when things are a little chaotic, and it's like, and the world keeps turning and good things keep happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially for someone like Lisa who did so much for the search marketing industry over the years when she was working with Bruce Clay, and then when she went off with Ray and Rhea to form Outspoken. And now she's with Over It Media. All the stuff that she's done. Lisa, wow, and congratulations. Another interesting thing, Bruce Clay got a Search Marketing Lifetime Achievement Award this week at SERPs.com. I'm not exactly sure what the SERPs.com awards are, but Bruce got a Lifetime Achievement Award from them, and well-deserved, I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, he's if you're going to go through your list of people that have paid their dues, you gotta include him in there. So yeah, I guess congratulate. I don't know that award specifically, but congratulations.
Yeah, yep. There you go. I like announcing good news like that. We don't get to announce good news like that often enough. What else you got on our list today before diving into them real stories?
Well, you know what? I think something that is interesting that we need to be considering, and how do we address the world that's coming up? And I bring it up because you touched on it earlier. You were talking about Facebook being a little quieter, and that, I mean, an example is I'm saying, hey, here's the people I want to follow. So here's the people that I like, and I'm only seeing their stuff. We're seeing this more with Google too. I mean, we know this, right? I mean, Google's trying to show me more and more of the stuff it knows that I like. We talked about that last week, and I don't know, numerous times in the past. What do we do now? I mean, you ended up, your personal story is a great example of you sitting on a site that would never show up in your Google search results or Facebook feeds, right? You're on a Tea Party site. This is not a site that you naturally would I wouldn't have gone, hey, I know what Jim wants to do today. He wants to go to a Tea Party site. This isn't, I wouldn't if I was Google, but you went there and you found that you learned new things. Hopefully they learned new things, or the people on both sides, and shared a good discussion that ended up with at least understanding where the other people are coming from. And of course, that's where compromise is made. That's where real policy should come from. So what do we do in this new world order? What is Google's responsibility, if any? What is Facebook's? Well, Facebook's more a social. I mean, we got to admit that. That's more social. Yeah, show me more of the people I like, because it's meant to be a social network. But what is Google's responsibility, or an engine's responsibility, if they're personalizing and only spoon-feeding me what it knows I want? What have I lost? And what responsibility do I as a consumer, or does Google as an engine have to actually making sure that I have access to information that may disagree with my original stand on an issue, so that I can engage in these conversations?
Well, I mean, you know me, I'm going to come at this from two different points of view, right? On one point of view, why is it Google's responsibility? Shouldn't we be media literate enough to know that for every left there's a right, for every dark there's a... We should know this, right? Like, it's just basic media literacy. For every A, there's a B. That's number one.
Now that's true, and on that point though, in the case where I looked up President Obama, let's just list a simple one, and all of a sudden, if the search results are going to be adjusted to favor things that I like, is that an accurate depiction, or is it Google's responsibility to go, here's actually the top 10 things that most fit? Some of them you'll like, some of them you won't.
But I mean, don't forget, like Google has the 10 blue links. Google also has its fact box. Okay?
Right.
The Google Knowledge Graph, the place where all that stuff shows up, that isn't drawn from personally referential or personally interesting material. That's drawn from places Google think will give the most accurate information on that subject. So you'll see stuff drawn from Wikipedia or Encyclopedia Britannica. You'll see stuff drawn from Obama's biography page or whitehouse.gov.
Right.
You'll see it drawn from, places I think Google could successfully say are unpartisan. Yes, even whitehouse.gov, because it represents the presidency, not the president. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I see.
Considered if it's a fact, it's a fact. He is the 43rd president of the United States. That's a hard fact. You know what I mean? You can't say he's the 42nd or 44th, because he's not. Right. He's the 43rd. He was first elected in 2008. November 2008. You can't change that. That's not a partisan answer.
It's not opinion.
It's not opinion. It happened on the 4th of November, 6th of November 2008. That was the election. Great night, by the way. Boy, did I have fun that night. Drank till 5:30 in the morning. I did, too.
I have no doubt.
Pool. It was an amazing night.
I'm sure your friends remember it and tell you had a great time.
I doubt they did. I outlasted them all. Anyway,
now, you had a second point that you wanted to talk about on this one as well.
Yeah, the first one is, why is it Google's problem? Like, Google shouldn't be responsible for you or me or anybody else using the internet knowing how to get information. We should learn that, from the time we learned to read. Before that, the second point is, Google is the main conduit for information for a lot of computer users in America, in Canada, and around the world. Google has the lion's share of search engine users. I think it's sitting above 78% again of search users. And, with that kind of audience comes a great responsibility to, distribute as accurate a view of the world as possible. However, we, the user, don't necessarily want the view of the world we get to be accurate. We want to agree with what we see because it makes us feel good. rather than making us feel uncomfortable when we're confronted by something we might disagree with. So yeah, it's a good question, Dave. What responsibility does Google have? Yeah.
It is a funny one, and of course I'm and so are you. I mean, maybe a little more left leaning than me, but we're both capitalists and pretty firm capitalists. We like commerce and we like the way it works. So, instinctively in a case like this, I'm like, well, it's Google's property. They can do what they want. This is their company, right? That's always my default go-to answer. But then at the same time, when you craft, when it's not just these are the top, because this is what our algorithm decided the top 10 are, but I'm starting to craft my message specific to users. Okay, now do I take that responsibility? Does it now become something that I'm craft now? It's not just these are the top 10 best things as far as I know them. But this is what I think you need to know with you as an individual. Do you take on that responsibility now where you need to make sure you're providing a balance?
Whoa, and do you want Google taking on the responsibility? This is what I think you need to know, Dave. That's what I think you need to know, Jim. Ha-ha, the master plan is almost complete.
Well, the thing is, I think, and Hummingbird's a great example of just another step forward. They are. Right, they are moving to crafting. They're not there yet, but that's an inevitable step, and not one I even oppose. Right, because there's a lot of times I can think of it, you can think of it when there's great benefits to it. Whereas a whole, it's a much better system where I can see what I'm going to favor and what the people around me that Google knows I like favor. Right, Jim really liked this article. Sure, boost it up when I'm looking on Google News for SEO. Right? If you liked an article, good chance I'm going to find something to learn from it as well. And if you can understand my knowledge. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then. At what point does Google stop becoming the trusted information source, and then just treat it as a reference point? That's what it is. It's not the answer engine. It's a reference point. It's going to tell you what you want to hear. You might be able to get citable references out of the knowledge graph. And, probably quite frequently out of the, organic links. But otherwise, Google's crafting its responses to your behavior and to, what you want and need. And eventually, it has to happen, we will start thinking differently about going to Google, why we're going to Google. I expect gospel when I go there, because this is the web after all.
Well, you're right, and I think that's the real danger, is if I only see the information that Google predicts I like because I tend to look at, this political party or this political parties, or, in Canada, this one, or this one, or that. Yeah, and a couple independents. If we hit sort of that environment, and we all have been conditioned for so many years to believe that Google's results, organic results, we're SEOs. We know that Google's organic results are crafted, but most people don't, or they don't really understand that this isn't a democratic, this is the best site. It's this site had more money, so they rank better, and that's kind of how that works. They got a better marketing department. It's commerce. That's the way this whole thing works. What really are we sort of setting ourselves up for in an environment where we've got users who look at the top 10 as an accurate depiction of the world, and then they're only seeing what supports what they already want to see. I think in this case there is a responsibility that comes with that to making sure you provide a balance. And you point out the knowledge graph, which is a great point. But that's just bland facts. That's not, when we're talking about something like politics or, what's
bland.
Well, they are, yeah. The great that they're there, but it's nothing that's going to sway my opinion. It's just something that's going to help me blaze through an essay for grade 11 history faster. But it's not going to actually give me any substance, to put it in that context. But I think it's going to be an interesting discussion, but one that I think we're going to really start hearing from a lot more as we head forward, as it starts to actually craft what's going on more and more. And I think we're going to see a stronger polarization of opinions, as what you see only reinforces what you want to see.
They could get around this easily. Have a little button, non-personalized results. Click.
Right.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know if they can functionally do that or not. But if they could, click non-personalized results.
Right, which of course you can. I mean, they can. They do know what they would rank it at with an old algorithm without personalizing. Like somebody sits down for the first time at a computer and the computer is brand new, those results. That set of results.
Indeed, but the moment from the first time they hit enter after signing in for some Google service or property, the results on that computer thereafter are changed, and the input to the Google machine from that computer thereafter is changed.
Right.
And again, that's where I'm beginning to wonder if they actually can serve up unweighted results or unpersonalized results to any given machine, given that Hummingbird and several iterations of Google's algorithm before Hummingbird depended strongly on behavior interaction.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a really interesting point. No, and you're right, because they have to take that into account, otherwise the engine fails. Right? If they don't count in user bounce rates, if they don't count in geolocation, the engine fails.
And it's a machine, and machines tend to work the same way given the same input, you know?
Yeah.
You might type in XYZ while I type in ABC, but once those factors are in the machine should grind the same way.
Right.
You know, relative to what it believes about each of us as individuals.
Right. And what the context of this query is. Oh, there we go.
That's our whole first segment, man. I can tell because my coffee's gotten cold. It's always time to take a break here on Webcology when my coffee's gotten cold. So anyway, I know we do got to take a break. It's 20 after the hour. You're listening to Webcology on webmasterradio.fm. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media, Dave Davies from Beanstalk SEO. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff when we get back. Jumping in on search satisfaction and what we as marketers can do to, deal with how people feel about the tools of our trade, Google, Bing, Yahoo, etc. Anyway, stick around. We're going to be back after these commercials here on Webcology. Stay tuned.
Sit tight and don't move.
Webcology.
We'll be back after this short break.
Guys, are you suffering from FD, fulfillment dysfunction? Let moldingbox.com's online portal system for inventory, tracking, and returns perform for you. We have the enormous tools you need for complete warehousing, shipping, and handling of all your packages, no matter the size or shape, directly to your customers. Moldingbox.com can also fulfill all your nourishing, nutraceutical, and smooth skincare product desires, including green coffee and Garcinia on demand. Plus, let our in-house printing and CD, DVD manufacturing help you enlarge and maximize your coaching and business opportunity potential. We do everything. Fulfillment, shipping, tracking, inside and out, and all in one place. Moldingbox.com. It's shipping made sexy. Come visit us at AdTech New York, booth number 738.
Oh yeah, my day is done. Time for happy hour.
You're already done for the day?
Yeah, because I use CertifiedKnowledge.org. Their PPC tools literally save me hours every day.
How do you keep on top of all of Google's new features?
Easy. With Certified Knowledge, their interactive learning modules keep me up to date. And if there's something I don't know, I can watch their video lessons without having to hunt around the Google help files.
Great. I'm ready to expand my knowledge.
Hi, I'm Brett Geddes. I'm the only leader officially supported by Google to teach the advanced track of the AdWords Seminars for Success. I personally recommend CertifiedKnowledge.org as your one-stop shop for all your PPC needs.
Learn, optimize, connect. Be smart. Go to CertifiedKnowledge.org now.
Ever wondered how you could have access to your own SEO expert, paid search specialist, or social media wizard? Looking for help with your affiliate, display media, or email marketing? Look no further than the folks at Fang Digital Marketing. Fang Digital specializes in both paid and organic search, social media, display, and mobile advertising solutions, and is staffed by industry veterans from Google, Yahoo, and one of the industry's most influential PPC experts. Fang Digital's award-winning staff stays on top of the latest in digital trends and offer tailored solutions so they can audit your progress and build a roadmap to your success. Learn more about their expanding range of full-service strategic marketing solutions at fangdigital.com. That's FANG digital.com.
Welcome to Market Square, where you'll learn about fundamental human truths and up-to-the-minute trends that shape how and why marketers and people connect. Market Square, on demand anytime inside the Internet Marketing Channel, only on webmasterradio.fm.
Commercials off. Now back to
Webcology,
only on webmasterradio.fm.
Here are the hosts, Jim Hedger and Dave Davies.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Webcology here on webmasterradio.fm. It is the 17th of October, 2013. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media, Dave Davies from Beanstalk SEO. And before we jump in, Dave, that was a really cool commercial from I hadn't heard of that show before, Market Square. That sounds really interesting.
I know. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Welcome to the network, Market. Watch this be a show that's been on like forever, right? I feel like total jerks now. But anyway, welcome to the network, Market Square. That sounds like a very cool show. So we were going to talk about an article that Danny Sullivan put up in Search Engine Land earlier. We've been dealing with the hummingbird SERPs for a good 2 or 3 weeks now. We've been dealing with, just the impact Google's had on the industry, changes that Google have had. I don't even want to call it Google. I want to call it Noogle. Changes that Noogle has had on the industry over the last 4 to 6 weeks. And we're not the only ones dealing with. This change. Search users are too. And my mistake, it was actually Nathan Safran who posted earlier today at 9 a.m. at Search Engine Land. Google seeks searcher satisfaction and how marketers can keep up. Fairly long, but in-depth article on how we as search marketers have to look at signals from people who are using our page to get an indication of how they're treating search results, Google search results.
Yeah.
That was a bad explanation.
And it's funny because I view a problem in that conclusion or that angle of things, right? Looking to what you have, way user behaves in my environment, to get an understanding of how they're reacting, say to a search environment, for example. And the reason I have a problem with that is the only users that I have to measure are the ones that behave a specific way in a search environment. Really, because if they behave differently, they'd click a different thing and they'd have ended up on somebody else's environment. So it's sort of one of those, not looking at webmaster tools and judging your traffic from just your analytics and then deciding what phrases you need from your analytics. And it's like, well, all your analytics is showing you is what you already have. It's not showing you what you don't have yet, right? So it's an interesting one, but I think there's a lot to be gleaned, and where I lean, or in this instance would lean more, is I'm really interested to see what the next round of eye tracking studies are going to be showing us. And I'm sure you are too, because this is critical data.
Yeah.
And seeing, in the new layouts, in the new environments, what do searchers actually look at? And how often do they click? I mean, if we can pass eye tracking on to what are they doing? Are they actually clicking on those links over in the knowledge graph? Or are they just, as I suspect, gleaning the, Twitter version of facts out of it, and then moving on and reading more in depth based on the organic results, where they would traditionally go to find real information, or even the paid results. I often go to paid results when I'm looking for, especially products and services. Do they then go there and do they just grab the Coles notes, or do they go, they got the Coles notes from source X, Y, or Z. I'll click over because if Google trusts them, I do. Or is this something that will change over time as people are conditioned to think the knowledge graph is what Google trusts even more than the organic results?
Well, that's a good question. Another thing that we want to look at in thinking about search engine users' reaction to search engine result pages is, where are the organic results? Certain searches are going to produce news results and images above organic.
Yep.
If there's a local angle and webmasters control your Google Plus profile. It's debatable whether Google Plus is going to be driving search rankings, but it's not debatable that Google Plus changes your appearance in search rankings. Mm-hmm. Having control of your Google Plus profile can give you control of, or more control over how you appear in local search results, which may often come up before organic results. My job is to use Google to attract attention to my clients' web pages or web documents. You know? So I got to look at where does this reference to my clients' pages or documents, where does it appear on the organic, on what appears an organic set of results at Google? Quite frequently, it can actually appear below the fold, even if it's in the top 3. you remember when like top 3 placement was like the apex of excellent SEO? Well, yep. It's not anymore. It just means you're damn good. Right. But damn good is still a step short of excellent. And that's, I mean, this is a big problem in the SEO industry right now. There's fewer and fewer places to get ranked above the fold and still be within the quote-unquote 10 blue links.
Well, you're right, and I think this gets to a discussion we had a couple weeks ago, where and you know you've been talking about it for quite a while now, where we need to view ourselves differently than we have, and I know you noticed because I made a change in the titling of some of our blog posts, but it's certainly been coming long before that, where we can't just be SEOs anymore. Like that can't be it, and we need to be building content that doesn't necessarily convert. Why? Because, well, sometimes users might be trying to look up information, find out what solution to their problem, then looking up the product to solve it. Well, if your client has information on the solution and it's ranking well, in a case where you're not having to traditionally fight up against, massive amounts of images, videos, this, that, the other thing, it's like, how do I get rid of, pain in my back, right? And okay, well, this is a much more clean result. Okay, if we can get a user to click us here, okay, now Google's going to remember we like this site. So when they search on the product-oriented thing, we've already got like a vote in favor of us here. And starting to have to weave these webs that are a lot more difficult than well, I mean, you remember the good old days.
you could shake a pencil at your monitor and get a ranking in the good old days. Yeah. Mind you, that was back when we used to write on monitors in pencil. Back with the remember the electro pencil? They called it. They never took off because it was treating the syllables. Electro pencil. Okay, go on, Dave. I'm just making shit up.
We just called it the E-pen and been fine. I know, right? Might have been a little confusion with EpiPens as people try and stab this computer device into their leg, but So okay, I mean, there's lots of other stuff. I mean, I think it's definitely worthwhile read, and I mean, a lot of this stuff that we can. I guess both of us have been in the industry long enough. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have too. But we can pick apart kind of anything. And I'm not saying I'm count outside this. I write stuff. It can be picked apart because people have great opinions, and heck, half the time I like learning stuff when people are like commenting on articles I wrote or whatever, and go, oh yeah, I didn't really think of that. But it's a great article with good food for.
Yeah, before we jump, there's something you said that just triggered a comment I want to make. So I forget exactly what it is you said, but I do remember the comment. For years, I've been saying that a good SEO is an extraordinarily good webmaster with marketing, with good communication and marketing skills. And I think the change to Google reiterate that statement more and more. And I remember you said not every page has to monetize, not every page has to be a conversion page, and I think you're absolutely right. Sometimes you get a win for your client without having that magical conversion, because you build their authority, you build their users in them, and think of all the on-page or all the time on page factors. Think like how a user moves through the website, how long a user or users tend to stay on a particular page. All of those things that go into Google's overall judgment of a web document or the site the document's contained in. There's a lot of wins you get for your client without necessarily making a conversion point. A website is a collection of documents, and it might only be a whole collection of documents might only be supporting 5 to 10% of the pages that are actual conversion pages. But the rest, the other documents are equally important because they bolster the authority, and you might use traffic within the site.
You might use them. I mean, I do think that, and maybe I was lucky with some angles of things, and we all have advantages because we all view things a little bit differently. But I think one of mine here was as we headed into this world, I've always leaned. I mean, on-site's great, technical's great. Don't get me wrong. I've got developer on stuff, that sort of stuff. But I've always leaned on links. And gone, links are important. Links are pretty critical, but we need to build good, natural links to a site. That means we need good content. And so as this sort of new world order of Google came, it was like, okay, well, this content we needed to build for links, holy crap, people go there. And wow, okay, because we're building real links, so they're following that link, and they're going there. And when they go there, they do stuff. Well, really quickly then, I want to use our whole third segment for Christine's article on big brands. So we're going to have to jump to break pretty soon. So really quickly, you talk about links and the value of links and stuff. That has to bring into the conversation Matt Cutt's recent post on guest blog. Because for a lot of people who were looking to build quick and totally reliable, dependable guest blogging was a route they were going, right? Yeah.
Well, Matt's weighed in on this yet again, knowing that you can't really stop guest blogging because, I mean, seriously, it's just blogging, folks. Now, it's guest blogging is best done in moderation. And what do you think of his? Did you get a chance to look at the piece?
I did. It was funny. I watched it yesterday. The only comment that I had on it was actually sort of a snicker at Matt in when he'd made a comment that recently he's seen a recent uptick in spam logs. I'm like, well, then you just started looking. A recent uptick. There's been this. I'm like, wow. Okay.
It is in fact blue.
I liked what he said. It makes perfect sense, and it matches with the. I mean, I like this environment because oftentimes I've been able to look at what Matt says or anybody from Google says, and I've discussed it on the show. I'm sure I don't have to reference back that many years, where I sort of look, roll my eyes, and go, yeah, you wait. I mean, you're lying because you can't do that yet. But they finally hit that part where message the representatives like Matt are sending out are matching up with what they technically are capable of now. I mean, yes, there's still some black hat. There's still workarounds. But when he comes out and says in moderation, what he means is if you screw around with you'll get caught. and what they actually can do is catch you.
By screw around, Dave, you're meaning something like just go crazy on keywords in anchor text in your link text, right?
Well, exactly. Keywords, anchor text. I mean, you can use spinners. I mean, we know all the tools that have been used to sort of create the crap content that we hate. We find it in the search results, right? And I mean, I think he's getting at the not just so much the leaning on, hey, don't use per text to link to yours. I don't know that was so much his point in this one. I mean, he talked about that in other realms of going, this isn't just about cramming your anchor text in. And he, used to work like a charm, but rightfully it doesn't work so well anymore. I think Google looks at your site a little more now and goes, hey, it's this thing, and you've got authority links. Well, you're about this thing, and authorities like you. Okay, you rank even if all your links don't have your anchor text. But I think in his case, it's more we don't want to see you firing out 300 blog posts. We don't want to see you leaning on this thing because it's easy to do. We don't want you buying into blog networks. We want you engaging in a relationship. A couple weeks ago, I had a email come in, and business.com had asked me to write a piece for them. Would Matt penalize that? No. They found me. They wanted me to write them, so I did. Should I get credited for that? Sure, I should. Right? Like on the
you should get off. You should get off.
And that's what we got. And so it's like, that's what Matt's getting at, is you built these relationships. And I chatted with a few people over there before, asked them questions. They'd ask me some questions. We built a relationship together, and then they wanted a piece, and I'd be happy to put a piece for them, and have offered, hey, if you guys want to write about a different angle on internet marketing from this moment, great. I'd love to publish that, because they have some good writers over there. I named a couple that I like specifically. So, when these things are, I think Matt is getting it. That's what it's meant to be. And that's what we've always tried to push for, or at least recently anyway, has been sort of pushing for over the last, few years, crafting everything more to this. We need these solid relationships to be built. But as I know Eric had pointed out, Eric Ward in a past webinar that I was watching, it's hard to do that en masse. Yes, it is. You need other strategies in place. But when it comes to blogging, that's what you need. Find good. It's in your niche. I'm for search engine watch. It makes sense. It's in my niche. Do a link. Yep. Should it count? Yep. It should, because it is what it is. But I'd be blasted out 300 spun blog posts, or hiring somebody from India at half a word or something like that to blast out 500 word blogs and submitting them to 300-400 different places. That's what I think he's getting at in his video.
Okay, so one last thing on the we got about 2 minutes before we got to go to break. Matt said I'm quoting from the video, this blogging seems it's like the fad of the month. It should be your full-time job. I agree that it shouldn't be your full-time job, but fad of what month? Like, seriously, 2010.
I know he's not quite catching up, but it's a funny one. I think it may be, on Matt's radar, he probably doesn't see everything. He knows when questions on a certain point come in, and of course, when it comes to blogging, none of us were talking about the way it could be abused before. We didn't want to talk about it.
Secret, was it?
It's just like, okay, we don't talk about this, right? We just sort of go, hey, this works.
Let's talk about it, Dave. Let's talk about it. What is the fad of the month? We should have a regular segment. SEO, fad of the month. What do you think it's going to be? Fad of the month.
Excuses? I'm going to go with that. A lot of what I'm reading right now on what's out there, and I mean this with love. I mean, it's the way of it, and it's a restructuring because of all the changes. I'm guilty of the exact same things. Is we're all figuring out what to do. We're all figuring out what to count. So not so much excuses. It's going, we're still figuring this crap out. We're like these little mini, okay, and this is what we do with Not Provided, or this is what we do with Hummingbird. Hummingbird hasn't been around long enough for us to know what to do. We can get a glint. We're starting to craft direction, but I couldn't publish something saying, here's what Hummingbird does, and here's what you need to do for the next 3 years. No, I can't.
Your answer better than mine. Wow. I was going to say Hangouts, but excuses is way better. Okay, we did it. You know what? We made it. We made it break time. We ragged the puck. Friends, it's quarter to the hour here on Webcology and Webmaster.fm. Stick around. We're going to be coming back talking about an article, Big Brands, Google, Penalties and You, written by Christine Schasinger. It was published yesterday in Search Engine Watch. It's well worth the read. We're going to give you a quick preview on it, but you have to wait until after these messages here on Webmaster.fm. Stay tuned.
Sit tight and don't move.
Webcology.
We'll be back after this short break.
If you're constantly struggling to find more customers, revenue, or hours in the day, Infusionsoft can help you have the business you've always wanted. For over 10 years, Infusionsoft has been helping business owners just like you find the financial freedom and peace of mind you've been searching for.
I'm Scott Martineau, co-founder of Infusionsoft. If you're struggling to find more customers, more revenue, or more hours in the day, Infusionsoft is the proven solution you're looking for. Infusionsoft, the only all-in-one sales and marketing software created specifically for small businesses.
Learn more at www.infusionsoft.com/radio.
There are many things we would love to catch. Catching the final out of a baseball game.
And that's the ball game.
Reeling that big catch of the day. Or catching a ride home.
Taxi!
How about catching more attention like the biggest retail brands on earth? Introducing Catchy.com, where they sell short-branded attractive.com domain names. Use a short and catchy brand, just like Sony, Visa, and Nike for your next business venture. You can even rent to own for as low as $100 a month. Catch a big break for your business with Catchy.com.
Building better search engine rankings takes the right formula. Tracking those rankings is super simple. All you need is AuthorityLabs.com. Authority Labs uses automated daily rank tracking tools to monitor your site's performance or leverage their API to build your own tools. No matter what animal-labeled algorithms affect your ranking, you should be using Authority Labs. Unlimited users for no additional cost and white labeling can help keep your clients updated and save countless hours of creating reports. Whether you're running sites with just a few or millions of keywords, what you need is AuthorityLabs.com.
WebmasterRadio.fm presents Search Kingdom. We explore the world of search marketing, give in-depth analysis inside the important industry headlines, and interview with the most important industry thought leaders. Search Kingdom, on demand inside the Search Engine Optimization channel, only on WebmasterRadio.fm.
Commercials off. Now back to
Webcology,
only on WebmasterRadio.fm.
Here are the hosts, Jim Hedger and Dave Davies.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Webcology here on WebmasterRadio.fm. It is the 17th of October, 2013. And Dave, I got to ask you a quick question. It's a multiple choice. What does BMW, Overstock, JCPenney, and Google.com, what do they all have in common?
What is that?
Each of them has been penalized by Google for breaking Google's rules. And actually, it was Google.com.jp that broke Google's rules and was actually penalized in Google search results for it. Same with BMW, same with Overstock, same with JCPenney. But you know what else they have in common?
What's that?
The penalization was, in fact, a slap on the wrist. And they didn't actually get penalized. They got, pushed around a little bit, and they're all totally back in the surface today.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember that was a big win for Overstock across the board because they had the rankings during the holiday season and then kind of lost them for a month or two during the lowest possible buying cycle because we're all busy paying off our credit cards. And then we're back in there when it counted again.
So you look at, and especially in the era of Panda and Penguin, we've been looking at what is a Google penalty, constitutes a penalty, what do you do about it? Christine Sasha, your friend of mine, Christine, decided to take a look at, well, what happens if you're a big brand? What does a penalty mean to a big brand? And what does that mean to webmasters in general? Taking a quote from her article, quoting Eric Schmidt, who the Google CEO at the time, he said, "Brands are the solution, not the problem. Brands are how you sort out the cesspool. Brand affinity is clearly hardwired. It is so fundamental to human existence, it's never going away. It must have a genetic component." So brands get treated better in Google than the independent website. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe it's a bit of a bit of insight into the brain of Google, or at least one of the brains, Eric Schmidt. Fundamental to human existence, like fire. So, what do you think? Do big brands really get a boost or a bonus at Google, or is it just they're so big that we can't help but see them?
I'll admit, I know the inspiration for this article, and it was based on an audit that Christine and I had done for a brand together. On a website, so sort of sparked the interest. They ranked no, I shouldn't say they ranked. They had a lot of organic traffic and 17 penalties or warnings.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're dealing with millions of visitors maintained from organic.
Serious aggression. Were these seriously egregious penalties? I mean,
any one of them would have killed any other site I've probably ever worked on.
Okay.
Any given one. I mean, pick a penalty. Just pick one. Right? I mean, with that many, and it's not a secret. Just pick one, and it was probably in there. And in a lot of cases, it was just a matter of understaffing of that department. It wasn't intent to do violations. There were even penalties in there I hadn't seen before. You know, and it was just a case of, it wasn't that they were intending on doing anything wrong. It's just they didn't know what they were doing.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question before we go on. It's around the idea of intent. Do you think? And I mean, you and Christine studied this website backwards and forwards. Yeah. Do you think that Google was actually sussing out the intent of the person who made the mistake before deciding how to apply a penalty?
No, some of them would have had to have looked really bad, and judging from what did happen to a lot of their rankings. And a weird thing happened in their case where they weren't ranking for the things they should. And then they were ranking for stuff they shouldn't have, right? But they still ranked well. They just didn't rank for the right things. So they obviously, this penalty was hitting them in a way that really was targeting around what they should have, and then where it was that they were still being treated as a strong state, but in sectors that were weak. So they would rank very well for phrases that they shouldn't necessarily even be very relevant for, but in the absence of other strong competitors, and so they'll still rank for those. But once we started, and we haven't managed to get, I mean, that's a lot of penalties. Not all of them are gone yet, but as they're being lifted, we're seeing those rankings go up and up. Phrases that they weren't even in the top 254, you know, they're now on page 1 for after just a couple of them got lifted, and they're climbing up from there. But it really showed, like, it wasn't an all across the board thing, and I had never seen a situation where a site gets so decimated with penalties, and then at the same time they're sitting with organic traffic in millions. You know, it was a very, very unique scenario. And I was really glad to have an opportunity to work on it. Obviously, just from an academic standpoint, it was really, really interesting to gain this knowledge and to see, okay, and how do we fix this, and what does Google say? I think one thing that intent really does help with, and you touched on that earlier, in this case, because they didn't intend on doing anything wrong, it was really, in their case, a matter of not paying attention and other people doing stupid things with their web property. The reparations and Google's reaction to the reconsideration requests, it was very easy to explain what happened. I'll say it was very easy to repair. No, it's very easy to tell the developers how to repair it. It was very difficult for the developers to deal with it. But once we'd done it, the corrections were very quick because we weren't having to now prove we could play nice again. It was clear with the explanation that we weren't trying to do anything wrong, and Google could, you know, here's how this happened. Okay, and we fixed this, and technically it won't happen again. Okay, good. So I think the path back was faster.
Now, I remember the first seriously major brand ban at Google is arguably BMW. This is back in 2005.
Yeah.
And I remember when they fell into the SERPs and then were put back in within a day, after correcting a problem, but they were put back in within a day on the reason, it's a damn good one, if somebody's searching for BMW, they want the BMW website. You know?
Yeah.
We're searching for that. And there is only one BMW, German manufacturer of fine motor cars. There's only one BMW. So I want to ask you, was your brand so big it couldn't fail?
I think in a case like that, it applies to your brand or what you do. Say in the case of BMW, and yes, it was in this case. So they never lost their results for their brand.
What if it was a smaller company? Would you have gotten this? We only got like 1 minute left. Would you have gotten the same response from Google if it was a smaller company, one that mightn't have had the same kitchen table recognition value?
I'm working on one of those with Christine Schackinger. So can you tell who I came up with on penalties right now? The answer is no. Penalty lifted. They're still fighting their way back for their brand.
Okay, so it's possible to be too big to fail in Google.
It definitely is. But I think in that case, it more applies to, should BMW rank for BMW and their models and makes? Yes. Should they rank for best luxury car? I think that's where the penalties can still hit.
Excellent. And I think that's a great way to sum it up. And I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it at that. But definitely a lot of conversation for future shows, because it's not like Google's not going to stop penalizing, eh? Okay, until then, it's conference season, folks. PubCon is coming up in Vegas next week. As Chicago's coming up shortly after that. There is a Media Bistro affair happening in New York City shortly after that. The big one, AdTech New York, is coming up in mid-November. I don't know who's going to what. I hope to see y'all. I hope to see you at a few of them. I'm definitely going to be in Chicago. Hope to see you there. Dave, you going to any shows in the next few weeks?
I'm going to one in December is my next one, but that's it's not an SEO as a whole conference. I'm being paid to go in and speak at one, so that's kind of my one for the fall, early winter, and I'll have some more in the spring.
Nice. If you can get it, brother. Well done. Okay. On that, we got to go. It's news time here on webmasterradio.m. So on behalf of Dave Davies and Beanstalk SEO, that's Dave at beanstalkseo.com. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media, Jim at digitalalwaysmedia.com. Listen to Webcology on webmasterradio.fm. It's the 17th of October. Have a wonderful week. We'll be talking to you next week.
This has been a presentation of webmasterradio.fm, the world's largest business-to-business radio and podcast network. We welcome you to sample past episodes of this program, as well as our complete library of programs, on demand or on the air via our 24/7 live audio stream at www.webmasterradio.fm. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of webmasterradio.fm's management or sponsors. Any rebroadcast or redistribution without authorized consent of webmasterradio.fm is prohibited.